Hello everyone, hope you're doing well and are safe. And I'll be your trainer for this paper, which is Sociology of Development. Now, in this particular video, I'll be telling you about the in-depth topics that we're going to cover in this particular paper. Okay. Now, before that, I would like to tell you that how sociology is relevant in current times and how pursuing a degree in sociology helps you to change your perception about the society, the social differences, the social behavior. Okay. So, as we all know, that sociology is anything and everything which is related to society. Okay, and now society is always changing; it is ever evolving. So, what we were 10 years back, like it's completely different, like from today. Right, so we will be able to, like better be able to comprehend that what is happening, and we will be able to adapt, we will able to understand that how society is changing through the lens of sociology. Okay, then it also helps us to understand the role of various social institutions. Now, what are social institutions? Like, like relationships, kinship, family, and different other institutions of society. Okay, and lastly, the discipline of sociology, it helps us to understand the reasons that why one person is significantly different from the other person, and how these differences are including in our social behavior, how it impacts our understanding of society, and it definitely tells a lot about our social positioning, like where do we stand in society. Okay, moving forward, let's discuss the objectives and importance of sociology of development. Okay, now sociology of development, it studies the economic growth, but from an angle, from a lens of a social development angle. Okay, so how there are so many different kind of factors like culture, like politics, like economic ways, the institutional factors, which basically impact, which promote, which also paves way for development. Okay, the ultimate objective of this topic, of this particular paper, it is to identify the non-economic factors that affect the economic growth. Like we understand that capital, cash, and there are various other factors like industries, like different classes that impacts economic growth, right? But there are various non-economic factors also, which helps us to form our narrative around the concept of development. Okay, then in a sense the sociology of development, it deals with topic like population, how technology is changing, how there is this concept of migration, like where people move from one place to another. Like this shift could be, like a cross country migration, an inter country migration, or migration from rural to urban areas, right? How economy, production, and factors like media and globalization, it helps to develop the ideas of development and progress. Okay, so we'll be studying all these factors in great detail in this chapter, right? Now, for your better understanding, the paper of Sociology of Development has been divided into 8 blocks. The first is concepts of development. The second is perspectives on development. The third is critics of development. The fourth is approaches to sustainable development. Then block 5 is comparative experiences of development. Block 6 is about globalization. Now, I believe that you guys must be familiar with this term globalization, and we'll also be studying it in detail. So we'll refresh our all the other topics and theories that we have already come across under like BA sociology, right? Then coming to block 7, it is about information and communication technologies. In this, we'll be studying about the impact of media on knowledge, on culture, on employment, right? And then there'll be block 8, which will be about development, displacement, and social movements. That how, like there are different categories, there are different social groups in society which have sacrificed their part of lives, their part of means of subsistence and their livelihoods in the name of development, and how civil societies and NGOs plays a crucial role in enhancing and developing a broader understanding of the concept of development. Now let's move towards understanding the blocks in detail. So the first block, that is block 1, is about concepts of development. Okay, so under this there are 4 units. Unit 1 covers the development and progress through the economic and social dimensions. Okay, so here we will be establishing a basic definition of development and progress, and we'll be studying different perspectives through the lens of economic aspect and social dimension. And while we'll establish a relationship between these two ideas of development and progress. Unit 2 will be about the change, modernization, and development. So, under modernization, we'll also be studying the cultural aspect as well as the economic aspect. So, like for example, that how like how societies have changed in terms of agriculture, right? So, we have moved from agricultural one to then industrial based society. Then unit 3 will be about social, human, and gender development. Under this, we'll be studying that how, like there are different social roles which have been assigned to men and women respectively, and how these social roles impact the functioning of society and hence impact the whole concept of development. Fourth unit is about sustainable development. Now, in a very simple, basic understanding, sustainable development is that when we're using our resources smartly, when we are not exhausting our resources, okay, and we are leaving a certain society in a very positive and a very proper manner so that these resources could be used by the next generation. So, like without harming the society in general, we are leaving it in a nice way for the next generation to come and make use of it. Now, coming to block 2, under this, we'll be discussing different perspectives of development. Okay, so unit 5 will be about modernization. So, under this, we'll be discussing that how there is a way of transition in different societies. Then unit 6 will be about the liberal perspective of development. Now, this liberal perspective would be focusing on individual liberty. It will be focusing on to the rights of the people and the general growth of people. Then unit 7 is about Marxian perspective of development. Now, as we all know that Karl Marx was a very influential sociologist, and his ideas, they revolve around a bourgeois society and the history of class struggle. Okay, so we'll be studying something along the same lines, but we'll be analyzing the very concept of development under this. Then unit 8 will be the Gandhian perspective on development. Now, as we all know that Gandhi was a person of morality. So hence his perspective of development also fully reflect the idea of morality, where he highlights that, every individual should progress for the society in general if wants to progress. Now moving towards the next block, which is block 3, that is critics of development. Now, under this, we'll be studying about the dependency theory of underdevelopment. And under this, we'll be studying that, like how there are different kind of societies. There are few developed societies, there are few underdeveloped, and then how there are developing societies. So we'll be understanding and studying the relationship between all these three kind of societies, and how the dependency of the underdeveloped countries on the developed countries impacts the very concept of development, and how these countries, they get trapped into this vicious cycle of debt, and they are not able to make use of their resources for their own development. Then under Unit 10, we'll be discussing about the social and human development, which will be focusing on to the development of each and every human being, so that they can, like reach and realize their full potential, and on the basis of their full potential, they can contribute to the development of the whole society. Then Unit 11 will be about gender perspective. Now, when we are studying about the concept of development, gender is a very crucial factor of analysis. Okay. Now, as I rightly told you that how there are a difference in the social roles, it not only impact the like the position of a person, not only the gender of a person, but rather it impacts the cultural, the political, and the economic ideas and positioning of a person. So hence, gender perspective of development is extremely important. Now, coming to block 4, which is approaches to sustainable development. Under this unit 12, we'll be studying about the micro planning. Basically, when a country or where a society, they divide their goal of development into small segments, and they achieve those small segments one by one. Okay. Then unit 13 will be about ecology, environment, and development. Now, environment means oceans, rivers, forests, and development means where a person, like they grow in their society, like the cultural aspect, the social, the political, the economic aspect. Okay, so we'll be establishing a relationship between the concept of environment, ecology, and development in this particular unit. Coming to unit 14, which is about ethno development. Now, as the name itself suggests, it tells us that how, like ethnic groups, how minorities, or how people who are very close to environment and who completely rely on forest as their means of subsistence, they had suffered a lot in the name of development, right? So, for example, forest cutting or construction of dams, these people, they have been relocated in their areas and they have suffered. So we'll be studying and we'll be covering this particular aspect of development, where there is development for one section of society, but there is like rupturing and suffering at the other end. Okay. And under unit 5, we'll be studying about population and development. Now, just like gender, population also is a very significant factor when we are studying about the concept of progress and development, because the population, it significantly impacts the several other factors like birth rates, death rates, or earning, economic dividend of a country. Okay, like how much population can contribute as a resourceful population, right? Now, moving to block 5 and 6. Under block 5, we'll be studying a comparative experience of development between the 4 countries. Okay, India, Canada, Zimbabwe, and Brazil. Okay, where India is a developing country, Canada is a developed country, Zimbabwe is still considered one of the poorest country in the world, and Brazil, who has significantly improved its position in the index of development. Okay. Under block 6, we'll be studying about globalization, and under unit 20, we'll be studying the very idea of globalization, like the exchange of ideas, the exchange of people, the exchange of technology, And we'll be studying this whole process of globalization under three components. First is economic, second is social, and last cultural. Okay. Then unit 21, under this we'll be discussing about the liberalization and the structural adjustment program. So under liberalization, we'll be discussing that how the economy the control will be imposed by the government, okay, and how there are structural adjustments made in order to reach a goal of development. Then next, under 22, we'll be discussing about globalization, privatization, and indigenous knowledge. So under privatization, we'll be discussing that how private sector will be included in ownership, and we'll be linking it to the process of globalization and the ideas of indigenous knowledge. So this will be our unit 22. Under Unit 23, we'll be discussing about the World Trade Organization. That's what WTO stands for. We'll be discussing about tariffs. We'll be discussing about capital, which means cash, and we'll be discussing about human flow. So, like the people, how people move from one place to another, with their skill set, with their knowledge, and how it significantly impacts the concept of development and how globalization has given a boost to this idea of trade and exchange of concepts and perceptions. Now, coming to block 7 and 8 of this paper, we'll be discussing under block 7 about the information and communication technologies. Now, under Unit 24, we'll be discussing about the dimensions of knowledge society, and we'll be discussing the issues of access and equity. Okay, so now knowledge society is a society that shares and make knowledge accessible to everyone, like to all the members of its society. Okay, and people make use of this information and knowledge, and it contributes as a very significant factor of production. Unit 25 will be a critique of this kind of a society, that is the knowledge society. So we'll be studying about the drawbacks of the accessibility and equity of this kind of knowledge sharing with the society. Unit 26 will be about the changing roles of media and information and communication technologies on employment. So in this particular unit, we'll be studying that how media, it emerges as a tool. Okay, so like it helps the people to develop their skill set, and it is also serving as a platform. So it provides an sort of an employment to the people. So we'll be establishing a definition relationship between media and the idea of employment. Okay. Now coming to block 8, which is about the development, displacement, and social movements. Okay. Now unit 27 will be discussing about damp and displacement. So as I rightly told you that how, like there are different kind of groups in our society who have significantly suffered in the name of development. So we'll be discussing this in great detail in this unit. Then unit 28 will be about Greenpeace movement. Now, as the name itself suggests, this Greenpeace movement is about like protecting the environment, protecting the ecology, protecting the species. Okay, and they directly confront the large industries and large factories about like how they can control pollution, how they are significantly contributing towards pollution and all this. Okay. Then unit 29 will be about people's science movement. This is like a rationalist movement, okay, where like general discussion revolves around a very positive yet very rationalistic thought. Here, science tries to give explanation that why a certain thing is happening, okay, and how is it happening, how is it contributing towards development and other things. And the last unit will be Unit 30, which will be about the civil society movements and grassroots initiatives. Now, the name itself suggests that this will be about, like the non-governmental organizations. This will be about small steps that have been taken towards reaching our goal of development. Okay, and how these movements, they significantly highlight the merits and demerits of development. Okay, so this will be like pretty much it in this chapter. So like I have given you the crux, and thank you very much for your time.